the oldest railway in Ohio, started back in the late 1800s. Initially running between Huron and Norwalk, the line eventually expanded throughout the state and to West Virginia. The original line continued to find life along the way as part of the Nickel Plate and the Norfolk and Southern Railroads. Now the Wheeling and Lake Erie is still going strong.
Idyllic Brewster, Ohio, located about 15 miles from the Football Hall of Fame, has a population of just over 2,300. It boasts tree-lined streets, a nationally known Swiss cheese producer, and a regional snack manufacturer. Since 1913, Brewster has also served as home base for a company that has played a vital role in the town's history, the Wheeling and Lake Erie Railway.
After the Civil War, the ports along Lake Erie, like Cleveland, Toledo, Huron, were rapidly industrializing and needed the raw materials that were in southeast Ohio and the Ohio River, the West Virginia border. And as part of that, in 1871, a gentleman formed the Wheeling and Lake Erie Railway to handle those materials, mostly coal, up to those ports and those industrialized cities.
In today's modern world, the railroad has branched out beyond moving raw materials to also transporting finished products from a number of Midwestern industries.
Besides coal, which is still an important commodity for the Wheeling and Lake Erie, we handle steel products, and that includes the raw materials that go into the making of steel, metallurgical coke, iron ore, and then we handle the finished product, steel slabs, coil steel, steel sheet, and we serve 5 steel mills in Ohio and West Virginia, and that's a primary line of business for us. Then the chemicals, including plastics, lumber, forest products, paper, and construction aggregates is another major commodity for us.
Today, the Wheeling and Lake Erie Railway, or W&LE as it is commonly called, operates over a network of 850 miles of track that pass through parts of several states, including Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Maryland.
Under the Association of American Railroads, or AAR, the Wheeling is classified as a regional Class 2. That classification is dependent on both mileage and annual revenues, and the Wheeling exceeds 350 miles and exceeds $40 million of annual revenue a year, and that puts us under that Class 2 regional railroad classification.
Nearly 400 employees do their part to move over 130,000 carloads of product and raw material to over 500 customers every year, including 5 steel mills and rubber manufacturers, which help Ohio lead the nation in plastic products shipments.
The train that just came in today was our 222. It came in with a mixture of plastics, lumber, and perishable. It came down from Bellevue, Ohio, and the freight is in our main classification yard where it was dropped off, and it will get broken up and sent out to its final destination. The power that was brought in will be refueled and serviced and cleaned, and they will be sent back out with 2 fresh locomotives and the outbound freight that's headed west.
All these shipments require substantial rolling stock. In an environmentally conscious world, increased efficiencies and reduced emissions have become part of the picture for railroads.
The Wheeling has approximately 68 locomotives, both 4-axle and 6-axle locomotives. Many of those have been upgraded at our shops, including auxiliary power units to reduce emissions and save fuel, and modern electronic microprocessor systems, and what we call lead trail, which allows remote control with a unit at each end of a train for better braking and better train handling.
The Brewster Shop complex that Mark referred to has been a valuable and lucrative asset for the railroad. Here, engines have been built, repaired, and upgraded since the shop first opened its doors in the early 1900s.
The shop itself was built in 1910, and over the years the shop has changed due to the different railroads that have purchased it and decided what kind of repair work they were going to do at this facility. And over the past 18, 19 years, we've been in the process of putting everything back into this shop again. We brought the locomotive fleet into this facility where we could do locomotive and car work under the same roof.
We've added a lot of additional equipment and upgraded a lot of the equipment that is in the shop. All of our overhead cranes have went to remote control. We have added a 90-ton drop table for removal of the trucks and truck overhaul. We have an in-ground wheel truing machine, which we do a lot of wheel truing for customers and all of our own fleet. And we've added things like a load box and other smaller pieces of equipment to be able to do all the chores that are necessary to maintain a fleet.
We do a lot of what we call truck work here, and that is the components that the car body sits on when you see a rail car sitting on the rail. You also see patchwork on the car body itself, sides, doors, and another function that you'll see here a lot is air brake work, and that's the system that operates your train as it goes down the track. Is the air brake system what controls the speed and the stopping of the freight car. But then we also are required to make any repairs to cars that come on or off our line from other railroads. What we call foreign repairs, that's any car that's not owned or leased by the Wheeling and Lake Erie, and we do quite a bit of repairs on foreign cars.
Although upgrades and repairs are an important part of the work done at Brewster, the complex is capable of building a whole locomotive and sending it out on the tracks to pull important cargo and keep the railroad humming. While the Wheeling and Lake Erie Railway has undergone many changes over the years, some things have stayed the same. The W&LE is still headquartered in the same brick building that the railroad built in 1914. At 4 stories, it was the tallest building in Brewster back then, and it's still the tallest building today. The heritage of this vital place also stands tall in the annals of railroading. The history of the Wheeling and Lake Erie Railway mirrors the history of the United States rail industry, as the thriving town of Brewster, Ohio, continues humming to the steady rhythms of another great American success story.